to my channel. My name is NDIFON NTUI. On this channel I make some tutorials. I post new videos on Wednesdays and on Saturdays. So if you're into stuff like this, make sure to check back on those days in order to watch new content. Alright, if you are a beginner or if you're a person that's trying to brush up on your skills, I offer online courses. I'll be showing a demo on how to make a jumpsuit so you can watch on the side if it will be convenient for you to learn online. If you're interested, send me a message on Telegram. Alright, number is on the screen right now. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you like the video, please give it a like. Do not forget to subscribe. I will see you in the next video. Have a lovely day. Bye bye. Alright, you're welcome to this video. In this video I'm going to show you how to make the skirts that you've seen on the thumbnail and at the beginning of the video. This is an easy skirt tutorial and I'm going to show you how to make everything neatly. Everything here will be done step by step, easy to understand. That's why a skirt video is 17 minutes long. To begin, I'm going to rule my half-inch line at the top of the paper. That's what I just did. After that, I'm going to come down by 8 inches. This is where I'm going to place my hip. Alright, so I'm going to come down to 8 inches, make a mark there, and then I'm going to mark the skirt length at 14 inches. This is a really short, this is a mini skirt. So after that, I'm going to rule lines across these points that I have. Alright, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to place my waist at the top, my hip here. So the waist is 31 divided by 4 is 7.75. I'm placing 7.75 here. Alright, and then I'm going to place my hip measurement. The hip measurement is 42 divided by 4 is 10.5 here, 10.5. And then at the bottom of the skirt, since this is an A-line skirt, you want it to open up like a triangle at the end of the skirt. So what you're going to do is whatever you place at your hip, you're going to add 1 inch and place at the bottom. So I had 10.5 at my hip. I'm going to place 11.5 at the end of the skirt. Alright, so whatever you place at your hip, add 1 inch and place it at the bottom. That's what you do when you are trying to make the skirt for yourself. And then I'm going to keep 2 inches for my hemming allowance. So at the bottom of the skirt, I'm keeping 2 inches for the hemming. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come to my I'll start placing my allowances. So here I'm placing a dart. But when I'm sewing the skirt, I will need to add the darts there. So because of that dart, I will need to increase the amount of allowance that I'm placing. So here 2.5 because of the dart. Here 1.5, and at the bottom of the skirt 1.5. So that 2.5 was added because we intend to place a dart at the top. Alright. After that, here you're basically done drafting your pattern. It's a nice easy pattern that we're working with. That's basically all for the pattern you need. Next thing you'll do is you need to cut it out. Watch closely at how I cut it out so that you cut it out just like this and not make a mistake. You see where I'm folding in the hem before I continue. Make sure to do that, it's mandatory. The next thing I'm going to do is I have to cut the band. One of the points of this video is to show you how to sew this skirt really neatly. So you need to measure your waist measurement. So the initial measurement that you placed, you will need to add 1.5 inches to that measurement. Now, irrespective of the fact that we kept 2.5 inches of allowance at the waist, at the end of the day we'll be left with 1.5 for our allowance after we've held the darts. So you're going to measure your waist plus 1.5 inches. For me, from here to here 7.75, and I added 1.5 for my allowance, so I'm left with 9.25. So my waist is 7.75, the allowance is 7.75 plus 1.5, 9.25. Alright, so we're going to use 9.25 to cut our band. Alright, even though the allowance at the waist now is bigger than 1.5. So here just roll the line. Make sure to give enough space from the top of the paper, even more than I did. I'll say at least 5 inches. So that's the 9.25 I've placed there. I'm going to fold 9.25 in half like so, and then I'll mark the middle. Okay, I'm going to come up by 1 inch at this point. We're trying to make the band that's going to sit smoothly around the waist, and then I'm going to connect these 2 points together, that 1 inch above where I have my the end of that 9.25. Next thing I'm going to do, you're going to mark the height of the band everywhere. So the height of the band is 1.5. I'm going to mark 1.5 everywhere. Okay, make sure to measure the band and make sure it's still 9.25 after you came up by 1 inch. So that's what I just did. Place 1.5 everywhere. This is the height of the band. I would advise that you don't go above 1.5, only if you want it to be a big band for decorative purposes. But for what you've seen on the video, 1.5 is more than enough. All right. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to keep the band aside. I'm going to use this pattern to cut my fabric. All right, I'm going to put my fabric on the fold, place this on top, and cut. So you can see me doing that here. Put my fabric on the fold, place this on top, put some weights to hold down the paper properly, and I'll simply just cut all the way around. And we're done. That pattern will be used for the front. Now this pattern would also be used to cut the back part of the skirt. I just finished cutting the front. The difference between front and the back is that I'll have 1.5 in front of here. So you'll see me cut it. We're going to keep 1.5 in front of here. That space is going to be used for a zipper at the back. All right, so you can see me here. I'm making my fold. I'm going to place my pattern on top. All right, I only need to flatten the fabric so that I'm not dealing with any rumpleness. You can see me checking to see that it's 1.5 in front everywhere. You need to take your time and do the same thing just like I have done. I'm making a notch at the waist to show where my dart is going to be. After cutting the front, the next step is to cut the band. So for the front side of the skirt, what I would do is I'm going to use this pattern. This pattern I have here. I'm going to cut 2 pieces of this paper with my fabric on a fold. I'm adding 1/2 inch at the top, so 1/2 inch at the top, 1/2 inch at the bottom. I'm not adding 1/2 inch on the side here. I'm not adding 1/2 inch here, 1/2 inch here, no 1/2 inch here. You'll see me do that now. All right, so put my fabric on the fold, place the paper on top, put paper weights to hold it down. You see 1/2 inch at the bottom. Here is exactly the same, 1/2 inch at the top. Make sure to cut 2 pieces. Cut this 2 times. All right, now as for the back band, it's quite similar to the front. We're adding 1/2 inch at the top, 1/2 inch at the bottom, but we will not add 1/2 inch on the side, but we will need 1.5 inches in front, because remember we kept 1.5 inches on the back pattern for our zipper allowance, so you need to add it on the band now. All right, so go ahead. We're going to cut this 2 times. You should end up with 4 pieces by the time you are done. So you can see I'm checking the fabric to make sure it's okay. I'm going to cut a large piece, make a fold after the first fold. Still checking to see that it's 1.5. I have 1.5 in front. Cut the bottom. The side is the same. The top with 1/2 inch. You see that? All right. We're going to use this pattern to cut the lining as well. The only difference is that my lining is going to be 3 inches shorter than the fabric for both the front and the back. Make sure that your lining, the back side of your lining, has the zipper allowance that the fabric has. You can see me checking to see that it's 3 inches everywhere. Okay. Put my weight on top. Cut. Make a notch to signify where the dart is going to be. This is for the back. You can see me keeping my space in front of it first. That's for the zipper allowance. Make a notch at the waistline to show where the dart is going to be. So now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to iron stay that's interfacing. You can see it here. It's like a fabric with a glow on it. I would iron interfacing on all sides of on every single piece of fabric that I have besides my linings. So the 2 bands for the all parts of the band, the front and the back of the skirts, on the fabric, that's the main fabric that you are working with. Iron interfacing onto all those parts, but the lining should not. You don't need any interfacing on the lining for this project. All right, so just the fabric. You can see me iron. I'll cut out, make sure everything is well pressed. When I'm done with all these parts, the next step is to move over to the sewing machine, so we start piecing all these parts together. So now on the sewing machine, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hold my darts on all parts of the front, so both my fabric and my lining. The length of the darts, I'm holding 4 inches for the length of the darts. All right, so you can see this is one side, this is the second side. I'm going to repeat the same thing on the lining. Yeah, so my lining, the left and on the right. Okay, all right, so When you are done darting both the fabric and the lining, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to need to stitch on your band to the waistline on both the fabric and the lining. This is why we cut 2 bands, because I had plans to attach the waist to both the fabric and the lining. Make sure to consume only 1/2 inch. So you can see I'm joining on the fabric. All right, everything is good. I'm going to do the same thing, join on my lining. All right, and then when we're done with that, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to join the 2 bands together at the waistline. So you can see the fabric and the lining 1/2 inch at the top, and then I'm going to flip it over and top stitch. Just basically watch what I'm doing. So you can see I'm just joining them together 1/2 inch. I'm going to spread it and I'm top stitching with the excess on the lining. All right, so now I'm going to do the same thing to the back. That's all sides of the back, both the fabric and the lining. Select a lining, match it with your fabric, dart the lining first and then dart the fabric, so that you don't end up darting your linings facing the wrong way. So you can see I'm struggling to dart my lining, but yes, I've darted my lining. Check the fabric is good, dart my fabric, so these 2 pieces go together. Make sure to do it on the other side as well. So the next thing is simply just attach the bands the same way we did in the front. Make sure to do this on the other side of the skirt as well. So joining the band on the fabric, okay, join the band on the lining. Make sure to iron these bands, make sure to iron this thing with every stitch you make. Make sure to iron it. Yeah, when that has been done, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to have to create our zipper allowance. So first of all, we need to lock our zip space. For me, I'm coming down to 7.5 because my zipper is short. I would advise that you come down to as much as 9 inches because to make it easy for you to put this on. All right, so I'm coming down 7.5 and I'm coming in by 1.5. That's our zipper allowance that we kept. All right, so I'm sewing from here straight down. So like I said, if the lower your zipper is, the easier it will be for you to wear. So I'm doing 7.5 because my zipper is a short zipper. So you can see I'm repeating that on the lining, 7.5. I'm holding 1.5 straight down. All right, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to install my zipper on the fabric. All right, make sure that the stitch that you are using to attach your zipper is only consuming 1.5 inches. You see that? All the way up. All right, lock the other side as well, and then this is what it looks like. All right, after you are done with installing your zipper, the next thing you are going to do is you're going to attach the fabric to lining at the waist. All right, just like we did at the front. So you're going to place the lining on the fabric. You see this, the front side facing front. All right, the clean side here facing the clean side here. Okay, so I'm now going to join the waist together with 1/2 inch on both sides. All right, okay, do the same thing on the other side as well. Then I'm going to open them and top stitch with the excess facing the lining, just like I did in the front. Okay, after you've done that, the next thing you are going to do, first of all, look at what we have done. You can see we've turned everything neatly at the waist. Turn everything inside out like I am doing now, and then you're going to come to the top. You see that's where that zipper is sticking out. That's the band. That's the band when it is straight. You see this here. You can see that you're going to keep here straight. If you look inside here, you will see the stitch that we used to install our zipper. Stitch as close to that stitch as possible. By doing this, it's going to finish your zipper allowance neatly. I'm doing this here, and I'll repeat this step on the other side as well. So figure that out, flip it, find the stitch, join the fabric and the lining. By the time I turn everything inside out, smoothen everything, you can see it's neat inside and out. When you've done that, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to join the front to the back on the sides. So you see this, I'm joining it with 1.5 inches. That's 1.5 inches that we kept. So this is the bottom of the skirt we're starting from, 1.5 inches. We're going to run from here. You can see we're getting to the waist. I'm using my tape to make sure that I'm on track with the 1.5 because you don't want to mess this up. If you sew everything inside out neatly and you've made a mistake with your measurements, it's very, 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 very tiring to go inside to fix it. So after you've done that, head over to your ironing table. We're going to need to spread and iron this so that it lays flat and is clean and smooth, and everything is, and nothing is bunching up on the inside. All right, make sure to do it on the left and on the right side. After I do that, I will be back. You can see here has been ironed clean. I'm going to flip it inside out. Let me flip it inside out and show you how everything looks. All right, so turn everything inside out, straighten it. Yeah, so this is what this looks like. All right, you can see the back is clean, the front is clean. After you've done that, all right, the next thing is to make sure that the stitch I'm about to show you now would make sure that your band and your band acts independently from the rest of your skirt, so that by the time you put on your skirt, your lining is not coming out because of how we have sewn it. So you are going to need to open it, and we are going to come to the waist. All right, so you can see the waist here, you can see our band, you see what's going on here. This is how we will need to join it. You see what I'm doing here? Okay, this is where our band meets the lining, this is where our band meets the fabric. We are going to join them together. Okay, make sure that no other part besides the band is involved in this, so that you don't have any funny stitch looking showing on the outside. I'm simply going to make a stitch here, and this is going to make sure that our band acts independently from the rest of the skirt, so that you don't have your lining popping up from the top of your skirt. Let me show you what this looks like. You see this is the band. This is the band up here. All right, where we've made this stitch. If I drag the fabric and the lining, look at, the band is not spreading anymore because there's a stitch inside holding it in place. All right, that's what we want to do around the waist. So you're going to do that side. Now, because of the side joining, you can't just make this one smooth stitch. You have to do the back, left of the back first, center of the front. You see that the same thing, center of the front, and then you will need to do the other side of the back. So you need to do this 3 times. Once you get close to the stitch on the side, it's okay to stop. After you've joined the waist like that, the next thing you need to do is to turn the bottom of the skirt neatly. So you pick up the fabric and the lining, watch closely to how I'm twisting it. So you see the way I've twisted it. Now this is the back, that back joining, the zipper allowance joining that I have. You start from there. See the way I've aligned my joining. I'm going to simply stitch from this joining all the way around. It will bring me back here. It's going to simply just be a loop. Make sure to stop, like I would say, at least 5 inches by the time before you get to the end, like you would see me do. Once I'm getting too close, I'm going to stop and back stitch, leave a hole. From that hole, you're going to need to turn everything inside out from here. All right, so after we turn it out, we're going to simply just lock whatever space is left there. When you are done with that, you're pretty much done. That's how the skirt was made. If you've watched this far into the video, thank you so much. I'm going to see you in the next video. Do have a lovely day. Bye bye.